Before you go to bed tonight, 5 minutes could expose the exact reason you keep running out of money. Not next month, tonight. Because most people do not stay broke because of one catastrophic decision. They stay broke through tiny transactions their brain forgets within hours. A fee here, a delivery charge there, a subscription they stopped using, a purchase that felt harmless in the moment. By the time they finally check their account, the evidence is buried and the paycheck is already gone. But there is a simple 4-step reset that forces every hidden leak into the open before it has time to grow. It takes less than 5 minutes, and once you do it every day, something changes. You stop asking where your money went. You start deciding where it goes. 5 minutes will not make you rich overnight, but it can make staying broke almost impossible, because broke grows in the dark, and this habit turns on the light. Most people do not have a money problem they are incapable of solving. They have a money problem they refuse to look at. That distinction matters. You cannot correct a number you do not know. You cannot stop a charge you never noticed. You cannot control spending you refuse to measure. And you cannot build wealth while treating your bank account like something dangerous hiding behind a closed door. Think about the last 7 days. Do you know exactly how much money entered your accounts? Do you know exactly how much money left? Could you name the 3 categories where you spent the most? Could you tell me your checking account balance without opening your phone? Most people cannot. They know approximately what they earn, they know approximately what their bills cost, and they know approximately how much money should be left. But personal finance is not governed by approximately. Your bank does not approximately charge you. Your credit card does not approximately calculate interest. Your landlord does not approximately collect rent. The numbers are exact. But most people operate their financial lives using guesses, and the gap between the real numbers and the numbers inside your head is where financial damage grows. There is a psychological reason people avoid looking at money. When information feels threatening, people escape from it. They postpone opening the bill. They ignore the banking notification. They swipe the card and tell themselves they will check later. Avoidance provides temporary emotional relief. For a few hours, you do not have to confront the fact that your balance is lower than you hoped. But while you are avoiding the number is still moving. Subscriptions are still charging. Interest is still accumulating. Automatic payments are still leaving. Avoidance does not pause your financial life. It only removes you from the controls. That is why your first step is not creating the perfect budget. It is not choosing the perfect investment, and it is not earning another $100,000. Your first step is developing the ability to look at your money without running away. Every day. Not once a month, not when the statement arrives, and not after the account is already empty. Every single day. Let me show you why the daily version matters. Imagine a man named Marcus. Marcus earns $78,000 a year. On paper, he should be doing reasonably well. He is not rich, but he earns enough that he believes he should have something left at the end of every month. He never does. Every few weeks, Marcus opens his banking application and experiences the same confusion. Where did all the money go? The large bills make sense. Rent, car payment, insurance, utilities. Those are easy to remember. But the rest of his spending has become one blurry category called life. Marcus believes he spends around $300 a month eating outside the house. The real number is closer to $650. He thinks he has 3 subscriptions. He has 11. He remembers the price shown on the restaurant menu, but he forgets the delivery fee, the service fee, the higher price inside the application, the tax, and the tip. He believes 4 small installment payments are easier than one large purchase, But he forgets that he has 7 installment plans running at the same time. No single decision destroyed Marcus. The damage came from small amounts that never felt important enough to inspect. That is how money leaks work. They survive because every individual charge looks harmless. $12 does not look dangerous. $9 does not look dangerous. A $22 lunch does not look dangerous. A $30 installment does not look dangerous. But your financial life is not determined by whether one purchase looks dangerous. It is determined by what all of those purchases do together. There are 5 common leaks you need to look for. The first leak is recurring charges. Streaming services, software, applications, cloud storage, gym memberships, premium accounts, and free trials that quietly became paid subscriptions. The danger is not only the price. The danger is that recurring payments separate the moment of buying from the moment of paying. You made the decision months ago, but the money continues leaving today. Because you are no longer actively choosing the purchase, the charge becomes invisible. A daily review makes it visible again. The second leak is convenience spending. Food delivery, last-minute shopping, paying extra because you did not plan, buying from the nearest place instead of the best-priced place. Convenience is not automatically bad. Sometimes convenience is worth paying for. The problem begins when convenience becomes your default setting. A meal that appears to cost $15 can become $25 by the time it reaches your door. Do that occasionally, and it is entertainment. Do it repeatedly without measuring it, and it becomes a financial category large enough to compete with your car payment. The third leak is fragmented debt. Buy now, pay later, installment plans, store financing. Small balances spread across different applications and credit cards. Each payment feels manageable because it has been separated from the total price. But your future income does not experience those payments separately. They all arrive together. They begin consuming paychecks you have not earned yet. Fragmented debt allows you to feel comfortable when you buy and trapped when you get paid. The fourth leak is fees and interest. Overdraft fees, late fees, account fees, cash machine fees, and credit card interest. These charges provide little or no value. You are not purchasing a better life. You are paying a penalty for poor timing, insufficient attention, or expensive debt. Some fees are unavoidable. Many are not. And many disappear once you begin watching your accounts before the damage occurs, instead of discovering it afterward. The fifth leak is unconscious upgrading. The premium version, the larger size, the faster shipping, the nicer hotel room, the newer phone, the higher trim level on the car. None of these purchases is automatically irresponsible. The problem is that the upgraded option slowly becomes your definition of normal. And once expensive becomes normal, ordinary begins to feel like deprivation. That is how lifestyle inflation works. Your income rises, your spending rises with it. Your life looks more successful, but your financial position barely changes. You earn more money without keeping more money. If every increase in income is followed by an increase in lifestyle, you remain trapped at a more expensive level. The house becomes larger, the vehicle becomes newer, the restaurants become better, the vacations become more impressive. But the anxiety remains. There is still no margin, still no meaningful savings, still no ability to survive several months without income. That is not wealth. That is a high-income version of financial fragility. And the first defense against financial fragility is awareness. You have to see your money before your lifestyle has the opportunity to consume it. This brings us to the 5-minute money reset. You do it once every day, preferably at the same time. It can be in the morning before work, it can be during lunch, or it can be in the evening. The exact time is less important than the consistency. The system has 4 steps: see, scan, send, stop. Let's break them down. Step 1. See. Open your main financial accounts and look at the real balances: your checking account, your savings account, and your primary credit card. Do not estimate. Do not calculate based on what you think is still pending. Look at the actual numbers. This should take less than 1 minute. The objective is not to judge yourself. The objective is to remove the mystery. A number becomes less frightening when it becomes familiar. People often believe that looking at a low balance will increase their anxiety. Avoiding it usually creates more anxiety. Your mind begins inventing possibilities that are worse than reality. A known problem can be managed. An unknown problem controls your imagination. Look at the number. Do not attach your identity to it. A low balance does not mean you are a failure. A high balance does not automatically mean you are financially intelligent. The balance is information, nothing more. It is a dashboard showing the results of previous decisions. Your job is to use that information to make your next decision better. Step 2. Scan. Review the transactions from the previous 24 hours. You are not conducting a complete financial audit. You are looking at 1 day. Ask yourself 4 questions. Do I recognize every transaction? Did I pay for something I no longer value? Did I spend more than I remember spending? And is there a pattern beginning to repeat? This is where money leaks begin to die. You may notice a subscription you forgot. You may realize that a restaurant charged more than expected. You may discover that 3 small purchases added up to a much larger amount than you realized. You may catch fraud. You may catch a duplicate payment. Or you may simply realize that yesterday was more expensive than it felt. Do not attempt to redesign your entire life during this step. First, identify what happened. Awareness comes before correction. Step 3. Send. Send a small amount of money toward your future. This may mean moving money into emergency savings. It may mean contributing to an investment account. Or it may mean making an additional payment toward high-interest debt. The correct destination depends on your situation, but some amount of money should move away from consumption and toward financial strength. Automation is better than relying on daily motivation. You can schedule the transfer for payday. You can split your direct deposit, or you can create a recurring contribution. The daily check then becomes confirmation that the system is working. The amount can begin small: $5, $10, $20. The amount is less important than proving to yourself that every day is not only a day of consumption, it is also a day of construction. Most people spend first and save whatever remains. The problem is that almost nothing remains. There is always another reason to spend, another invitation, another repair, another sale, another upgrade, another emergency. Paying yourself first means your future receives money before the rest of the world begins competing for it. Consider the mathematics. Suppose someone invests $10 a day for 40 years. That is approximately $300 a month. At a hypothetical average annual return of 8%, before taxes, fees, and inflation, that contribution could grow to roughly $1 million. That return is not guaranteed. Markets rise and fall. Some decades perform better than others. But the illustration shows something important. The individual daily action appears small. The repeated action is not small. Time transforms it. At $5 per day, using the same hypothetical assumptions, The result over 40 years could exceed $500,000. At $25 per day, the result could exceed $2.5 million. Again, these are illustrations. They are not promises. The point is not that everybody will receive the exact same return. The point is that small amounts repeated for a long time can become financially significant. People usually overestimate what they can change in 1 week, and they underestimate what they can build in 20 years. Wealth rarely arrives looking dramatic. It often arrives disguised as a boring, automatic transfer that continued long after the excitement disappeared. Step 4. Stop. Before making a non-essential purchase, create a 24-hour pause. You are not banning the purchase. You are preventing the first emotional impulse from making the final decision. Put the item in the cart. Write it down. Take a screenshot. Then, wait until tomorrow. After 24 hours, ask yourself 4 questions. Do I still want this? Will I use it regularly? Which financial goal becomes slower if I buy it? And would I still purchase it if nobody else ever saw it? That final question matters more than most people admit. A large amount of consumer spending is not designed to improve our private lives. It is designed to influence how other people perceive us. The car is not only transportation, it becomes evidence of success. The clothing is not only clothing, it becomes evidence of taste. The vacation is not only rest, it becomes evidence that life is going well. People spend real money purchasing symbols of financial strength while weakening their actual financial position. The 24-hour pause breaks that connection. It gives the rational part of your brain time to return. Many impulses disappear when they are not immediately rewarded, and when you still want the item tomorrow, you can make the purchase consciously instead of automatically. That is the entire 5-minute money reset. See the balances. Scan the transactions. Send money forward. Stop the next impulsive purchase. See, scan, send, stop. 5 minutes, every day. 5 minutes does not sound powerful enough to change a life. That is exactly why it works. The system is too small to require heroic motivation. Most financial plans fail because they are designed for a version of you that does not exist. A person who never becomes tired, never experiences stress, never becomes distracted, never makes an impulsive decision, and never loses motivation. That person is imaginary. The real version of you has difficult days. The real version of you sometimes overspends. The real version of you does not always feel disciplined. The objective is not perfection. The objective is to build a system that survives imperfection. A complicated budget can collapse after one expensive weekend. A 5-minute check does not collapse. You simply look again tomorrow. Missed yesterday? Look today. Spent too much? Look today. Received an unexpected bill? Look today. The system is built around returning. It is not built around remaining perfect. This matters because many people approach money with an all-or-nothing mentality. They create an aggressive budget. They promise to stop all unnecessary spending. They decide to save an unrealistic percentage of their income. For several days, everything goes well. Then, life happens. They overspend once, and suddenly, they decide the entire month is ruined. The plan disappears. The old behavior returns. The problem was not always a lack of discipline. The plan was too fragile. The 5-minute money reset is difficult to destroy because it requires almost nothing except attention. And attention produces an effect that motivation cannot. Your behavior begins to change before you consciously command it to change. When you know you will inspect the transaction tonight, the purchase feels different in the afternoon. The money has a witness. The decision is no longer disappearing into a monthly statement you may never study. You know you will see it. That awareness creates friction, and financial friction is useful. Companies work extremely hard to remove friction from spending. One-click ordering, saved credit cards, automatic renewals, instant financing, contactless payment, buy now, pay later. Every additional second between desire and purchase reduces the chance of a sale. So companies remove those seconds. Your job is to put some of them back. The 24-hour pause creates friction. The daily transaction scan creates accountability. And the automatic transfer protects money before you can spend it. Together, these small systems change the environment around your decisions. You are no longer relying on willpower alone. Now, some people will say this sounds useful, but they have debt. They believe they cannot focus on building wealth yet. That is not entirely wrong. If you have high-interest credit card debt, eliminating that debt may be one of the strongest financial moves available to you. When a credit card charges an extremely high interest rate, the balance can grow faster than your savings. In that situation, the send portion of the system can be directed toward the debt. First, build a small emergency buffer. You need enough cash to prevent every small surprise from returning to the credit card. Then, attack the expensive balance consistently. When the debt is eliminated, redirect the exact same payment towards savings and investments. Do not allow that payment to disappear into lifestyle expansion. The habit that destroyed the debt can become the habit that builds your wealth. Other people will say they do not earn enough. Sometimes that statement is accurate. There are people whose essential expenses consume nearly everything they earn. No amount of motivational language changes the reality that housing, food, transportation, healthcare, and childcare can be extremely expensive. But even when the income problem is real, avoidance still makes it worse. The daily check shows you whether your solution requires cutting spending, increasing income, changing debt, renegotiating bills, selling something, relocating, or receiving professional help. Looking does not magically create money. It identifies the correct problem. Until the correct problem is identified, people waste energy solving the wrong one. Someone with a spending problem keeps trying to earn more. Someone with an income problem keeps cutting small pleasures that were never large enough to solve the issue. Someone with a debt problem keeps moving balances without changing the behavior that created them. Someone without an emergency fund keeps using credit cards every time life becomes unpredictable. The daily reset brings the real problem into focus. You may discover that cutting expenses is not enough. Then, one part of your financial plan must become increasing your income, applying for a better position, learning a valuable skill, negotiating your pay, taking on temporary additional work, starting a service, selling unused possessions, or building something that produces revenue. Saving protects the gap between income and spending, but income determines how large that gap can eventually become. A serious financial plan respects both sides. Spend more deliberately, earn more intentionally, keep the difference. Then give that difference time to grow. Some people will say they are already in their 40s or 50s. They believe they started too late. Starting earlier would have been better. That is the honest answer. Time is a major advantage when building wealth, but regret cannot compound. Only action can. The choice is not between starting today and starting 20 years ago. That option no longer exists. The real choice is between starting today and starting later. Today wins. A modest financial habit started late is still stronger than an ambitious financial plan that never begins. You may need to contribute more, you may need to work longer, and you may need to make sharper decisions. But late is not the same as impossible. The 5-minute money reset is valuable at any age because its first purpose is not creating $1 million. Its first purpose is creating control. Control over what enters, control over what leaves, control over what grows, and control over what you refuse to purchase. That control changes more than your bank balance. It changes the way financial security feels. Real financial security is not primarily about looking wealthy. It is about having options. It is the ability to repair your car without creating a crisis. It is the ability to survive a period without income. It is the ability to leave a toxic workplace. It is the ability to help someone you love without destroying your own finances. It is the ability to sleep without calculating which bill can be delayed. That is what the daily habit is building, not merely an account balance. It is building distance between you and desperation. The first week may feel uncomfortable. You may see charges you regret. You may see debt you have been avoiding. You may realize your spending was larger than you believed. Do not confuse discomfort with failure. Discomfort is evidence that the information is finally visible. During the second week, the numbers begin to feel less threatening. You recognize the patterns. You begin predicting which days are expensive, and you identify which emotional states cause you to spend. Boredom, stress, celebration, loneliness, fatigue, social pressure. Spending is often emotional before it becomes mathematical. When you review the transactions every day, you begin connecting the number to the moment that created it. By the third week, small changes begin appearing. You cancel something. You cook instead of ordering. You delay a purchase and decide you do not need it. You transfer money before spending it. You catch a charge before it becomes a recurring problem. None of those moments feels life-changing by itself. That is how meaningful change usually begins, quietly. By the end of the first month, you will have 30 days of evidence. You will know more about your financial behavior than many people discover in years. You will know where your money actually goes. You will know which expenses are intentional. You will know which expenses are automatic. You will know which habits are helping you. And you will know which habits are quietly working against you. Most importantly, you will have proven that your financial life is something you can face. The number is no longer a verdict. It becomes a dashboard. A dashboard does not insult the driver. It provides information. Speed, fuel, temperature, direction. You use that information to steer. Your bank account should be treated the same way. Do not use it to decide whether you are a good person or a bad person. Use it to decide what action comes next. So here is what I want you to do today. Not next month, not when your income increases, and not after watching 10 more financial videos. Today. Open your accounts. Look at the real balances. Review the last 24 hours. Move one small amount towards savings, investing, or expensive debt. Then place a 24-hour pause on the next non-essential thing you want to buy. 5 minutes. See, scan, send, stop. Then repeat it tomorrow. You do not need to repair your entire financial life tonight. You need to stop hiding from it. Money problems grow fastest in darkness. Subscriptions remain in darkness. Debt grows in darkness. Impulse spending survives in darkness. Lifestyle inflation hides in darkness. The 5-minute money reset turns on the light. Once that light remains on, staying broke becomes much more difficult. Not because 5 minutes is magic, but because 5 minutes repeated every day changes what you notice. What you notice changes what you do, and what you do repeatedly becomes your financial life. You do not climb a financial staircase in one enormous leap. You climb it through small actions, repeated long enough for the result to become undeniable. Look today. Move forward today. Then do it again tomorrow. That is how ordinary people build extraordinary financial security. One honest look, one deliberate decision, and one small step at a time. If this video helped you, subscribe to Malcolm Hayes Money. Here, we do not chase the appearance of wealth. We build the habits that create the real thing. And remember this, your paycheck does not determine your future by itself. What matters is how much of it you control after it arrives.